There are 3 critical signs to be watching for in your child's literacy development. But if you're like most moms and even some speech language pathologists, you probably are missing them. So I know so many of you have been overwhelmed by just being thrown into this crisis schooling. And so many of you are finishing up the school year right now, but maybe you've had a hard time figuring out if your kids are on track with their literacy skills, or it's even possible that you've been wondering why your kids are having a hard time learning how to read. In either case, I know you're worried that you're going to miss something important or it's going to be a big deal down the road. And this is week 3 of our Better Hearing and Speech Month. And today I'm being joined by Denise Wagstaff. She is a certified speech language pathologist. She's a literacy guru, and she is in private practice in the Ontario, Canada area. And she has spent 30 years working with kids in speech sound development, in language skills, literacy, presentation, overall communication skills, and even training parents. And this is one of the reasons why we want to bring this topic to you to the forefront to help you begin to recognize these signs before it's too late. Because as you're seeing over the course of this month, early intervention is key. So I'm wondering how many of you have been wondering about your child's reading ability, or not knowing where to get answers, or being told not to worry or wait and see. How many of that is that replying to? And if you're watching on the recording, if you're joining us here after the live is over, thank you guys so much for joining us. Make sure just to leave your comments, your questions, and I'll be back to answer some of those questions and respond to your comments. Give us some hearts, some likes. It helps us engage here as a community. And before I bring Denise on, we're going to say, so this is our Free Friday. So today we're going to be free from frustrations. Yes. We're going to be free from just not having all the answers and having the pieces of the puzzle. And we're going to be free to read today, free to rhyme, and free to enjoy reading again. So now if you would like access to a written guide to everything that we're sharing today, including Denise's pre-literacy tool for parents, just give me the word read below and I'll make sure you get all of those, okay? So let me know, what are your questions that you have for Denise surrounding this topic of your child or someone that you know, their reading skills, their communication skills. Share those below and we're going to be back to answer those. So go ahead and sprinkle this among your people. Don't keep this information to yourself. In fact, I have bonus gifts for you, for those of you who choose to do that. And so when you give me that word read below, you're going to get an opportunity to sprinkle this video around. And when you do, you're going to unlock a special gift from me as well. So now if you are new with us, my name is Amy Miller. I'm a wellness advocate, a business coach, and I help fellow SLPs and special needs professionals make a bigger impact in the lives of their patients, helping them set their business apart from the others and provide patients with solutions that address issues rather than just putting Band-Aids on problems. And we do this using our signature Spark method via our growth mindset coaching. And this is Free Friday. This is our weekly series on Fridays to experience life more fully, more abundantly. Bonus if we can also do this naturally, right? So maybe you've been listening to this general consensus that says that maybe you don't need to worry about this until 3rd grade. I'm going to go ahead and bring Denise on. And before we ask some questions, I know that she has some thoughts about some of these things. So let me take me off solo here. There we go.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Denise. So good to see you here. So, there is sometimes this general consensus that you don't really need to worry about this maybe until later on. But I know you say the truth of the matter is quite different. And the time to start figuring things out is right now, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And whether it's dyslexia, dyspraxia, ADD, ADHD, or even just some weak phonological skills, there's some signs that are evident early on. So actually, I want to ask you a question. Actually, before I do, I want to share with everybody. This may something maybe new to you, Denise, but we love to learn out loud here. And I know Denise is going to share some things that you're going to have some aha moments. Okay. So when we learn out loud here, we type in the hashtag Free Friday and we explain whatever is freeing your mind or your aha moment is. And so throughout the live today, or even as you're watching after the live is over, anytime you hear something that Denise shares that's really valuable to you, or it's a new idea or a nugget that you want to hold on to, just type in that hashtag Free Friday and then share that tip that you're going to implement in your own life. I know us all as speech pathologists, we love to embrace and reward those who love learning too. So I know, Denise, you're like, yes, let's learn together.
Absolutely.
So tell me, before we dive into these critical signs, tell me a little bit more about why you even got into the field of speech language pathology.
Oh, that's a long, I don't want to go too long on a story on that one. I was interested in it, and then I wasn't sure, and I went to school. In my undergrad work, I went to, had a semester abroad in Austria, and the girlfriend that I went with, her mom was a speech path. And there were a lot of Thai and Chinese students that had that were in the program. And when we were in the library, a lot of them would come up and say, how do you say this? How do you pronounce this? How do you, they were always asking questions really around articulation things, right? And I was always, at that point, this was a long time ago, I was, I wish I had a model of your mouth so I could show people, and I would tell them, well, this is going on and that's going on. And my girlfriend, whose mom was a speech path, every time I would do something like that, she'd say, that's what my mother does. That's what my mother does. That's what my mom does. And I was like, maybe I should do what your mom's doing. And that's really how I decided, what, this must be the place for me to go. And that's when I finished my undergrad, and I did all the prerequisites. I didn't have any of them, so I had to do them all before I started the master's, and it was a crazy little time, but got it done, and I'm glad that I did. It's been a great field, and I really appreciate the value of what we do.
Yes. I do too, and I'm so glad that we're highlighting that this month, because even though there is a lot more known about this field than there used to be, there's still the field seems to be broadening, and so
it is.
And so there's always something new to be learning about it. So tell me, how did you start focusing on a little bit more of some things like with pre-literacy and literacy skills for kids? How did that begin to come about?
As I was working, I would find that there were children that were struggling, and just whatever was being done with them really wasn't working. It just wasn't working. So I did a small stint with a school board, and we developed a screening program and a program to teach the teachers. And it was like a 6-month pilot project, and it was really it was neat to see the great strides, and you could see the little ones that were struggling so early on. And to be honest, as wonderful as teachers are, a lot of them have not been trained in any of this. Even some that have reading specialist designations have not really been taught this. Now, maybe in the past few years, more words getting out, but really a lot of people don't know about this, and they don't know what to do about it, and they're trying, but they just have not been trained and aren't aware of the research that shows us what works and what doesn't, and what signs to be looking for, because you can see signs for this. By about 4 years old, you can start to see whether this one might have some struggle, and you can always do some little checks to try to see, is this possible for them? Is this going to be an issue for them?
Right.
Yeah. And to be honest, it's a frustration for me, because I see so many kids that are struggling, and they're, certain places are a little bit more ahead in terms of screening early on, but a lot of school boards really are not, and it's a struggle for these little ones. It's heartbreaking. So
yeah. So if you're just joining on, then make sure that you just don't keep this information to yourself, because there are parents out there and even professionals who are missing some of these signs that Denise is about to share some of those with us. And so we want to be able to help as many parents and families as we can with this. Betty says hello. Hi, Betty. Good to see you here. Yes, share, type in the word read, and you'll get all the tools that we're sharing with you today, and you'll get a written guide with everything so that you don't have to frantically take notes. Although you can. So now, and actually, put a 1 in the comments if you have been seeing some of these signs that that are going to be shared by Denise in either your own child or your children, or maybe children that you work with. So tell me a little bit more, Denise. Tell me about these 3 critical signs that help parents with surrounding some of these questions and some of these challenges that we've been talking about.
Sure. First thing I want to just say is that just even in terms of the general population, maybe as high as about 17% could be people that struggle with reading, right? Struggle with literacy. And of that 17%, about 70 to 80%, most times they're dyslexic. They have dyslexia. It's not an uncommon thing. I think that's one of the things to keep in mind is this is not really all that uncommon. And when we know the signs to look for, it really screams at you. So let me go into those critical signs so you have an idea of what to be looking for. Sometimes you'll see a little one. Let's take by about age 5. By about 5, a little one should be able to, start to kind of recognize a rhyme. Rhyming is a really, really big thing. And I'll go a little bit further into that in terms of what it means to be able to rhyme. But rhyming, a child should be able to recognize a rhyme. First, they'll be able to recognize one before they'll be able to create one. Once they can recognize it, then they should be able to make a rhyme. By 5 years old, a child should be able to make a rhyme. So that's a really good point right there. That's a really, really important point. Another sign you'll see is that, by around 3 years old, they start to recognize the names of the letters. They can recognize the names of the letters. Kids that are having a hard time learning the letter names, that's a little sign. That's a little flag for us, because that is also part of the picture, where kids will have a hard time recognizing or memorizing, I should say, common sequences. So it could be letter names, could be their address, could be the peers in their classroom. They just don't remember their names. They just don't remember the names of these things. So this is just another thing. So we have the rhyming. We have the fact that they have a hard time kind of memorizing things you'd expect a child that age to have memorized by then. The alphabet, the names of the alphabet by 5 years old. If you've been working on a little bit, they should be able to make that stick. And then another one is when they get to be a little bit older, you see once they're in kindergarten, and especially when they're in grade 1 and they're starting to get books. A child that's having, really kind of struggling with this and probably dyslexic, you'll see that they'll recognize a word on one page, and then they'll go to the next page, same word that they just read on the prior page. It's like brand new. They don't know it, can't read it. So you'll see a lot of this, that you thought they had that word. We just read it, but the next page, it's gone. So that's one of the many signs. There's lots of signs, but if you keep those 3 in mind, that'll kind of help you to kind of see. But I'll talk about some other ones. What it can look like when you're seeing someone that's struggling with literacy. There are a lot of different tips that I can give you, and I would like to.
Yes, so Denise, so I want to, because that's a lot for us bringing in. I think that's a lot of aha moments. So I just wanted to recap that.
Sure.
You said. So one of the first signs is this challenge with maybe rhyming, right? And then the second one you said with kind of remembering names of letters, address, those kinds of things that we would expect a child to be able
common
to.
Sequences that they've heard a lot of times.
Okay, and then what was the third one that you mentioned again?
Being able to recognize the same word on a page that they just read it on. So we're on page 1. Jack ran fast. Go to the next page. John. We just read ran. It was just on the prior page, but they don't recognize it again.
Yes.
So you'll see a lot of that. So, I can go there. There are signs even that we'll see earlier than that. We have to be aware of. I don't know if you want me to go into it right now.
Go ahead.
Yeah, signs around. If a child has speech delays, that you're at a little higher risk, because that can be related to phonological awareness. And I can explain that too.
Yeah, because I think what you were saying, this phonological awareness. Now, that is not the same thing as when someone refers to like phonics, right?
I'd love to clarify
Can you share
that.
a little bit about the clarifying about the difference
Absolutely.
between those?
So this is a really, really important point, because this is what you'll see even in school. There's a lot of talk about phonics, and phonics is great. But what we have to recognize is that phonics is a written thing. It's all about writing. So when we're talking phonics, we realize that this shape represents this sound. So like a B. Can I do backwards on the screen for you? That shape represents the sound B. Okay, that's phonics. This symbol represents the sound. Now, phonological awareness has nothing to do with written stuff, nothing to do with it. It's all about what you hear. Okay, so phonics is the written part. Phonological awareness is the ability to hear the specific sounds within a word. And there's a hierarchy of phonological development. We'll see when children are very young, no, not that young, but the first step would be that they start to have a word awareness. They recognize that when you say the word table, that it means the thing that we have dinner on. That's table. That's a word. The next step in phonological awareness is to recognize that the word is made up of chunks, that we can pull them apart. So table is made up of two syllables, te and bull. Has two parts, two chunks. That's syllable. So we have word awareness, then we have syllable awareness, and then the next step, the highest level in phonological development, is phoneme awareness. That's the sound. So we had table as the word, one word, that's our word awareness. Then we go to syllable awareness, table, and then the next step is individual sound awareness. So these two syllables, te and bull, te is made up of t and a, t, a. Bull is made of b and ul, b, ul. So the ability to hear the word, then to recognize the syllables, and to be able to hear those individual sounds, that's what phonological awareness is all about. And that's how you see how it ties into rhyming. If you don't hear individual sounds, how would you ever be able to make a rhyme? A rhyme is all about having that part at the end. It's called a rhyme, but it's spelled differently. But have that part at the end, like a word family idea. Let's say you have at, and then you're going to be cat and rat and mat. Well, if you don't hear the individual pieces in that, how are you ever going to make a rhyme? If you only see cat or mat or sat as a little unit, then you can't make a rhyme. Very, very difficult. So that's the big difference. I want everyone to really be aware of the difference between phonics is written. Phonological awareness is all about what you hear. And people that struggle with literacy have a hard time being able to hear those individual phonemes. Make sense?
This is really good. Yes, yes. And I think there's a lot of people on there who are having their minds blown here right now. They're having a little moment.
I hope.
And if you are, yes, yes, Chelsea. Yeah. So you'll grab our notes from today. Anybody else having some really great takeaway moments? Go ahead and type in the comments #FreeFriday and share with us what that takeaway is that you're going to take from this, because I know that some of you are you're seeing some of these in either the children that you work with or the children in your life that you know, or even your own children. You're wondering some of these things, and some of you maybe have even talked with your pediatrician about them, and maybe that has kind of been downplayed, those concerns. And I always love to share with parents that you know your child best, and there's a reason why God gave moms that little check in their spirit that says something's not quite right. And when you have that, you listen to that, parents, because you know your child better than the doctor will. You'll know your child better than teachers will. And the more that you can listen to that and look into those things more, keep digging. Like Carrie, we talked with last week, she kept getting those things downplayed, but she kept asking questions and kept trying to get to the root issue, and was finally able to help her kids. So I know that's my goal for you today, and I know that's Denise's goal as well, is for you guys to be able to feel like you're equipped to have that information and know what to do with it moving forward. So just kind of shifting gears for a minute. Now, if you have some more questions for Denise surrounding this topic, go ahead and type them in, and we'll try to get to them before we finish. But I'm wondering, Denise, just kind of relevant to what has been happening over the last few months and in these strange times that we're in, how have you and your family had to kind of, what I like to call the word, pivot during this time of social distancing? What have you had to do either in your family or in your business that has had to really shift during this time?
Well, the whole service delivery model for me has changed entirely. I typically would see clients in their homes face to face with little ones, or the only online work I did really was with adults doing accent modification work, but really primarily I see children. So this has been a whole, first it was a total stop, and then a few families came on board with being open to teletherapy, and it's going well, and I think more are going to be coming online with it and being more comfortable with it, because really we don't have a lot of other options. I'm in the Toronto area, and things are starting to open up now, but you know what? I don't know how comfortable parents are going to feel with me going into their home, and how many homes I'm going to feel totally comfortable going into, because they're little ones. They're not good at social distancing. They're not good at not putting toys in their mouth. It's not good. So these are issues. But just in terms of my work, I mean, I've learned about green screens and lots of teletherapy stuff that's been really, really helpful. And there are a lot of really good communities out there that have been really helpful with, I think, getting a lot of us up to speed on that. So in some ways, it was a little daunting a few weeks back. I won't lie. I was like, wow, I've got to really get up to speed on this quickly, especially when you're working with little ones and trying to keep them engaged. But there are a lot of positives. Kids love technology, and they do, like, if you can change it up. I'm now kind of thinking, maybe I should have auditioned for the Wiggles or something like that, because you're like, I think I'm kind of putting on a show.
Yeah.
When right. They start to wiggle around, you got to change that screen up and do something new and different, and so, I mean, I've always been an off the cuff type of therapist, to be honest with you. I mean, I would bring a bag of toys and I would have a goal in mind, but never what we're going to use to get there.
Yes.
Wherever the interest was, I would follow the child's lead. So in that way, it was kind of nice, because I'm used to working that way. And it's always worked, I've been very, very happy and blessed that it's worked well that way. But yeah, so just getting up to speed on tech stuff, the green screen was the biggest thing. And if other people are looking into, where to go next, that's a good thing to kind of get up to speed on using a green screen and how you can use it, because there's a lot of really interesting things and fun things that you can do, especially with children, to keep them engaged. That's been really great.
I love that you shared that, because what would be kind of your best advice that you would give somebody who's wondering maybe how to change the way they do their practice or their business during this time? Would it be kind of figuring out that a green screen if you're going online?
If you have to move to a teletherapy practice model, definitely you want to know about what to do to make it be more interesting and engaging. To be able to switch it up quickly and have, you really have to kind of get a whole set of new materials, really. That's essentially what you're doing. So that's been, a bit of a scramble. But I think that if I were to give anybody advice, I'd say do that. Get up to speed, get good with your tech stuff, know what's going on, know what's current, know what you can get access to, and be up to speed on that. Because, I think even now I'm finding some kids, you have to keep them engaged. Some kids are more engaged than face-to-face. So, I think in a lot of ways, this may be a new model that really it becomes a standard that everyone is offering both. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think we need to know this stuff.
Yes. Well, that's a good word. So what would you say to parents or who are wondering what's the next step to take after they're seeing signs? Is there a way that where can they find you, or what would be the next steps that you think of action that they should take?
Well, there are some sites that I didn't, let's see. I mean, I have some information that's going to be in whatever I've offered that you guys can have access to.
Okay, awesome.
You could always message me on Facebook. I am happy to answer you. I have a Facebook page, and I'll be happy to answer you. I think some of the steps, like what you mentioned before about just being sure about what you are concerned about, and don't be put off if you really feel you have a concern. Look for the signs that you want to see. Like if your child's had a lot of ear infections, there's a family history of people, about 50% of people that have dyslexia, it's in the family about 50% of the time. So ask, did anybody, my granddad or did anybody in the family, my uncle, have a hard time? Check on these kinds of things. What else can you, I mean, if you have some kind of like ammo, you can kind of say to your doctor, or, really, and a psychologist is the person that would be able to diagnose this. When it comes to the school, depending on the school board that you're in, you may find that no one is really ready to take action, like you said, till about grade 3. And I would really encourage people. Sorry, just ignore that. I hope it doesn't start talking now.
It's all good.
That's throwing me right off my game.
Wait until grade 3.
Right. Don't wait till grade 3, because there are lots of signs before that. What happens is that earlier on, the kids will be they'll be memorizing, and they'll be learning words by shape. Like the word hat has a tall one and a short one and a tall one. Well, once you get to grade 3, you're in a hole so deep. There's so many words. There are fewer pictures. So really, please do not wait. Don't wait. That would be my biggest. If you have to go to get a psych assessment on your own, if you have to try to gather this information and present it to your school board, or start to look for dyslexia tutors or a speech pathologist that works with children with dyslexia. Check out the IDA, International Dyslexia Association. There's really good information there. There's good information on reading rockets. Start to do some digging online. Google dyslexia associations. And you want to make sure that whoever you are chatting with, asking about, that you hear the word phonological awareness. You want to hear that, because that's really what a lot of this is about. Let that be your keyword, phonological awareness. Okay, and there are some programs, a lot of the programs that we know work are Orton Gillingham based. OG, you'll see OG, Orton Gillingham. And that's like the gold standard. So there are other programs that use an Orton Gillingham base. They may not be there. You can get straight OG tutoring or training, or you can have one of these other, Wilson, Slingerland, Barton. Barton is one that I use. It's very scripted. A lot of parents might like that one. It's sold in kits. I'm not advocating for one as opposed to another, but that's the one that I'm familiar with, and I really like it. And because it's very scripted, as long as a parent can hear, as long as their phonological skills are all right, they can use that with their child. So you may find that even if you know where to go, you might still have to take care of this on your own. A lot of school boards may not have the proper type of training, and their little ones will be exposed to do it this way, try, read again, look at the sound. The first, does it sound like that could be the word? Take a guess. Don't guess. Don't guess. Yes. Take action if you feel like you're not sure. If they want, like I said, people can message me and I'll be happy to help.
Denise, what you're saying there just is a great reminder to all of us that are parents that that you are your child's best advocate.
Absolutely.
Do not rely on your school, your teacher, your pediatrician, whoever it is, to be your child's best advocate, because you are the one who is your child's best advocate. So keep looking, keep digging. If you don't know where the resources are, you've already heard some tools and places to look for from Denise. Let's see. Jenna says, virtual learning has been so hard. Yes, it is a shift. You said asking a kindergartner to read out loud in Zoom in front of her class is so daunting. Yes. Now, Betty, we're going to be sharing Denise's contact info. If you give that word read, we'll share those tools and it will have her contact information there too. So, yes, grateful to have the opportunity our kids to learn. Yes. Jenna says, love that you're pivoting so you can support all the littles who need that. Yes. Yes.
Nice to be able to do it.
So, and Betty also wants to know, Denise, are you taking teletherapy learning appointments, telelearning appointments?
I cannot. Here's when the regulation comes in. I'm in Ontario and I'm certified in Ontario. I'm certified in the States, but I don't have individual state licensing, and I cannot offer services to anybody outside of Ontario right now. Unfortunately. I'm hoping that telepractice things will start to kind of move forward in terms of legislation. It's very frustrating, but I can't, I can't do that. I can't offer that right now.
Yes. But there will be some great connections with some of the tools.
And I can give lots of information.
Yes. Yes. Jenna says, I see the signs now. See, okay. Yes.
I'm so glad.
we're so glad that this has been helpful to you, Jenna. So I'm so glad that you guys have been able to join us today. And so I want to know which one of these things, what are you going to take action on today? We love to reward those who want to take action. Now, we have our next live wellness masterclass coming up soon. So if you want information on that, you can share that, share the word masterclass, and I will get that information to you. Otherwise, you can join us in our newest Facebook group called Spark Your Mind. And it is where we are helping therapists to calm the crazy in your mind, overcome burnout, and return to joy so that you can enhance the impact that you're already making on the lives around you. So if you want to join in with that, just type in the comments group, and I'll make sure that you get plugged into that group. So thank you guys so much for joining in with us this whole month, celebrating Better Hearing and Speech Month. Thank you, Denise, for sharing such great expertise today with us. I know it's been so valuable to so many and is going to continue to be valuable for people watching even after this live is over too. So thank you so much, Denise.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, absolutely. And we will see you guys next week. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.